Hello, welcome to day of reading through the Bible. I'm Toni Henderson-Mayers. I'll be your reader. I'm known as an actor, a director, producer, professor, but most important, I'm a child of God. And I'm also known as an entrepreneur too, as well. If you want to know more about me, join my Toni Henderson-Mayers YouTube channel. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe and ring the notification bell for that channel and this one so you'll know every time I upload a new video. So, you ready to read God's word? Let's go. Okay, we're going to read Matthew 26 and Mark 14. Let's read. The plot against Jesus. When Jesus had finished saying all these things, he said to his disciples, "As you know, the Passover is 2 days away, and the Son of Man will be handed over to be crucified." Let me just, I won't lose my spot there. Then the chief priests and the elders of the people assembled in the palace of the high priest, whose name was Caiaphas, and they schemed to arrest Jesus secretly and to kill him. Make sure I didn't miss. These pages are so stuck together. Okay, yeah, I'm good. But not during the festival, they said, or there may be a riot among the people. Jesus anointed at Bethany. While Jesus was in Bethany in the home of Simon the leper, a woman came to him with an alabaster jar of very expensive perfume, which she poured on his head as he was reclining at the table. When the disciples saw this, they were indignant. "Why this waste?" they asked. "This perfume could have been sold at a high price and the money given to the poor." Aware of this, Jesus said to them, "Why are you bothering this woman? She has done a beautiful thing to me. The poor you will always have with you, but you will not always have me. When she poured this perfume on my body, she did it to prepare me for burial. Truly, I tell you, wherever this gospel is preached throughout the world, what she has done will also be told in memory of her." Judas agrees to betray Jesus. Then one of the 12, the one called Judas Iscariot, went to the chief priests and asked, "What are you willing to give me if I deliver him over to you?" So they counted out for him 30 pieces of silver. From then on, Judas watched for an opportunity to hand him over. The last, the Last Supper. On the first day of the festival of unleavened bread, the disciples came to Jesus and asked, "Where do you want us to make preparations for you to eat the Passover?" He replied, "Go into the city, into a certain man, and tell him, 'The teacher says, my appointed time is near. I am going to celebrate the Passover with my disciples at your house.'" So the disciples did as Jesus had directed them and prepared the Passover. When evening came, Jesus was reclining at the table with the 12, and while they were eating, he said, "Truly I tell you, one of you will betray me." They were very sad and began to say to him, one after the other, "Surely you don't mean me, Lord." Jesus replied, "The one who has dipped his hand into the bowl with me will betray me. The Son of Man will go just as it is written about him, but woe to that man who betrays the Son of Man. It would be better for him if he had not been born." Then Judas, the one who would betray him, said, "Surely you don't mean me, Rabbi." Jesus answered, "You have said so." While they were eating, Jesus took bread, and when he had given thanks, he broke it and gave it to his disciples, saying, "Take and eat. This is my body." Then he took a cup, And when he had given thanks, he gave it to them, saying, "Drink from it, all of you. This is my for blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many for the forgiveness of sins. I tell you, I will not drink from this fruit of the vine from now on until the day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom." When they had sung a hymn, they went out to the Mount of Olives. Jesus predicts Peter's denial. Then Jesus told them, "This very night you will all fall away. Oh, sorry. This very night you will all fall away on account of me. For it is written, I will strike the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock will be scattered. But after I have but after I have risen, I will go ahead of you into Galilee." Peter replied, "Even if all fall away on account of you, I never will." "Truly I tell you," Jesus answered, "this very night before the rooster crows, you will disown me 3 times." But Peter declared, "Even if I have to die with you, I will never disown you." And all the disciples said the same. Gethsemane. Then Jesus went with his disciples to a place called Gethsemane, and he said to them, "Sit here while I go over there and pray." He took Peter and the 2 sons of Zebedee along with him, and he began to be sorrowful and troubled. Then he said to them, "My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. Stay here and keep watch with me." Going a little farther, he fell with his face to the ground and prayed, "My Father, if it is possible, may this cup be taken from me, yet not as I will, but as you will." Then he returned to his disciples and found them sleeping. "Couldn't you men keep watch with me for 1 hour?" He asked Peter, "Watch and pray so that you do not watch and pray so that you will not fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak." He went away a second time and prayed, "My Father, if it is not possible for this cup to be taken away, my Father, if it is not possible for this cup to be taken away unless I drink it, may your will be done." When he came back, he again found them sleeping because their eyes were heavy. So he left them and went away once more and prayed the third time, saying the same thing. Then he returned to the disciples and said to them, "Are you still sleeping and resting? Look, the hour has come and the Son of Man is delivered into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us go. Here comes my betrayer." Jesus arrested. While he was still speaking, Judas, one of the 12, arrived. With him was a large crowd armed with swords and clubs, sent from the chief priests and the elders of the people. Now the betrayer had arranged a signal with them. "The one I kiss is the man. Arrest him." Going at once to Jesus, Judas said, "Greetings, Rabbi," and kissed him. Jesus replied, "Do what you came for, friend." Then the men stepped forward, seized Jesus, and arrested him. With that, one of Jesus' companions reached for his sword, drew it out, and struck the servant of the high priest, cutting off his ear. "Put your sword back into its place," Jesus said to him. "For all who draw the sword will die by the sword. Do you think I cannot call on my Father, and he will at once put at my disposal more than 12 legions of angels? But how then would the scriptures be fulfilled that say it must happen in this way?" In that hour, Jesus said to the crowd, "Am I leading a rebellion that you have come out with swords and clubs to capture me? Every day I sat in the temple courts teaching, and you did not arrest me. But this has all taken place that the writings of the prophets might be fulfilled." Then all the disciples deserted him and fled. Jesus before the Sanhedrin. Those who had arrested Jesus took him to Caiaphas, the high priest, where the teachers of the law and the elders had assembled. But Peter followed him at a distance, right up to the courtyard of the high priest. He entered and sat down with the guards to see the outcome. The chief priests and the whole Sanhedrin were looking for false evidence against Jesus so that they could put him to death. But they did not find any, though many false witnesses came forward. Finally, two came forward and declared, "This fellow said, I am able to destroy the temple of God and rebuild it in 3 days." Then the high priest stood up and said to Jesus, "Are you not going to answer? What is the testimony that these men are bringing against you?" But Jesus remained silent. The high priest said to him, "I charge you under oath by the living God. Tell us if you are the Messiah, the Son of God." "You have said so," Jesus replied. "But I say to all of you, from now on, you will see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of the Mighty One and coming on the clouds of heaven." Then the high priest tore his clothes and said, "He has spoken blasphemy. Look, now you have heard the blasphemy. What do you think?" "He is worthy of death," they answered. Then they spit in his face and struck him with their fists. Others slapped him and said, "Prophesy to us, Messiah. Who hit you?" You know what? Peter disowns Jesus. Now, Peter was sitting out in the courtyard, and a servant girl came to him. "You also were with Jesus of Galilee," she said. But he denied it before them all. "I don't know what you're talking about," he said. Then he went out to the gateway where another servant girl saw him and said to the people there, "This fellow was with Jesus of Nazareth." He denied it again with an oath, I don't know the man." After a little while, those standing there went up to Peter and said, "Surely you are one of them. Your accent gives you away." Then he began to call down curses, and he swore to them, "I don't know the man." Immediately, a rooster crowed. Then Peter remembered the word Jesus had spoken: "Before the rooster crows, you will disown me 3 times." And he went outside and wept bitterly. May the Lord add a blessing to the reading. Oh, no, no, I'm still in Matthew. Hold on. That was just a long one right there. I'm glad because there's some more I want to read. Okay, so let's get to Mark 14. I was about to shut it down and it was getting good. All right. Let's see. Mark 14, y'all. Jesus anointed at Bethany. Now, the Passover and the festival of unleavened bread were only 2 days away, and the chief priest and the teachers of the law were scheming to arrest Jesus secretly and kill him. But not during the festival, they said, or the people may riot. While he was in Bethany reclining at the table in the home of Simon the leper, a woman came with an alabaster jar of very expensive perfume made of pure nard. She broke the jar and poured the perfume on his head. Some of those present were saying indignantly to one another, "Why this waste of perfume? It could have been sold for more than a year's wages and the money given to the poor." And they rebuked her harshly. "Leave her alone," said Jesus. "Why are you bothering her? She has done a beautiful thing to me. The poor you will always have with you, and you can help them at any time you want. But you will not always have me." She did what she could. She poured perfume on my body beforehand to prepare for my burial. Truly, I tell you, wherever the gospel is preached throughout the world, what she has done will also be told in memory of her. Then Judas Iscariot, one of the 12, went to the chief priests to betray Jesus to them. They were delighted to hear this and promised to give him money. So he watched for an opportunity to hand him over. The Last Supper. On the first day of the festival of unleavened bread, when it was customary to sacrifice the Passover lamb, Jesus' disciple asked him, "Where do you want us to go and make preparations for you to eat the Passover?" So he sent two of his disciples, telling them, "Go into the city, and a man carrying a jar of water will meet you. Follow him. Say to the owner of the house he enters, 'The teacher asks, where is my guest room where I may eat the Passover with my disciples?' He will show you a large room upstairs, furnished and ready. Make preparations for us there." Come on, Jesus, you be knowing. The disciples left, went into the city, and found things just as Jesus had told them. So they prepared the Passover. When evening came, Jesus arrived with the 12. While they were reclining at the table eating, he said, "Truly I tell you, one of you will betray me, one who is eating with me." They were saddened, and one by one they said to him, "Surely you don't mean me." It is one of the 12," he replied, "one who dips his bread into the bowl with me. The Son of Man will go just as it is written about him, but woe to that man who betrays the Son of Man. It would be better for him if he had not been born." While they were eating, Jesus took bread, and when he had given thanks, he broke it and gave it to his disciples, saying, "Take it, this is my body." Then he took a cup, and when he had given thanks, he gave it to them, and they all drank from it. "This is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many," he said to them. "Truly, I tell you, I will not drink again from the fruit of the vine until that day when I drink it new in the kingdom of God." When they had sung a hymn, they went out to the Mount of Olives. Jesus predicts Peter's denial. "You will all fall away," Jesus told them, "for it is written, 'I will strike the shepherd, and the sheep will be scattered.' But after I have risen, I will go ahead of you into Galilee." Peter declared, "Even if all fall away, I will not." "Truly I tell you," Jesus answered, "today, yes, tonight, before the rooster crows twice, you yourself will disown me 3 times." But Peter insisted emphatically, "Even if I have to die with you, I will never disown you." And all the others said the same. Gethsemane. They went to a place called Gethsemane, and Jesus said to his disciples, "Sit here while I pray." He took Peter, James, and John along with him, and he began to be deeply distressed and troubled. "My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death," he said to them. "Stay here and keep watch." Going a little farther, he fell to the ground and prayed that, if possible, the hour might pass from him. "Abba, Father," he said, "everything is possible for you. Take this cup from me, yet not what I will, but what you will." Then he returned to his disciples and found them sleeping. "Simon," he said to Peter, "are you asleep? Couldn't you keep watch for 1 hour? Watch and pray so that you will not fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak." Once more he went away and prayed the same thing. When he came back, he again found them sleeping because their eyes were heavy. They did not know what to say to him. Returning the third time, he said to them, "Are you still sleeping and resting? Enough. The hour has come. Look, the Son of Man is delivered into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us go. Here comes my betrayer." Jesus arrested. Jesus, as he was speaking, Judas, one of the 12, appeared. With him was a crowd armed with swords and clubs, sent from the chief priests, the teachers of the law, and the elders. Now the betrayer had arranged a signal with them. "The one I kiss is the man. Arrest him and lead him away under guard. Going at once to Jesus, Judas said, Rabbi, and kissed him. The men seized Jesus and arrested him. Then one of those standing near drew his sword and struck the servant of the high priest, cutting off his ear. Am I leading a rebellion, said Jesus, that you have come out with swords and clubs to capture me? Every day I was with you teaching in the temple courts, and you did not arrest me. But the scriptures must be fulfilled. Then everyone deserted him and fled. A young man wearing nothing but a linen garment was following Jesus when they seized him. He fled naked, leaving his garment behind. Man, you that scared. Jesus before the Sanhedrin. They took Jesus to the high priest, and all the chief priests, the elders, and the teachers of the law came together. Peter followed him at a distance right into the courtyard of the high priest. There he sat with the guards and warmed himself at the fire. The chief priests and the whole Sanhedrin were looking for evidence against Jesus so that they could put him to death. But they did not find any. Many testified falsely against him, but their statements did not agree. Then some stood up and gave this false testimony against him. We heard him say, I will destroy this temple made with human hands, and in 3 days will build another, not made with hands. Yet even then, their testimony did not agree. Then the high priest stood up before them and asked Jesus, Are you not going to answer? What is the testimony that these men are bringing against you? But Jesus remained silent and gave no answer. Again, the high priest asked him, Are you the Messiah, the Son of the Blessed One, of the Blessed One? I am, said Jesus, and you will see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of the Mighty One and coming on the clouds of heaven. The high priest tore his clothes. Why do we need any more witnesses? He asked. You have heard the blasphemy. What do you think? They all condemned him as worthy of death. Then some began to spit on him. They blindfolded him, struck him with their fists, and said, Prophesy. And the guards took him and beat him. Peter disowns Jesus. While Peter was below in the courtyard, one of the servant girls of the high priest came by. When she saw Peter warming himself, she looked closely at him. You also were with that Nazarene Jesus, she said. But he denied it. I don't know or understand what you are talking about, he said, and went out into the entryway. When the servant girl saw him there, she said again to those standing around, This fellow is one of them. Again, he denied it. After a little while, those standing near him said to Peter, Surely you are one of them, for you are a Galilean. He began to call down curses and he swore to them, I don't know this man you are talking about. Immediately the rooster crowed the second time. Then Peter remembered the words of Jesus and had spoken to him. Before the rooster crows twice, you will disown me 3 times. And he broke down and wept. May the Lord add a blessing to the reading and hearing of his holy word. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you know every time we upload a new video. Well, I'm going to do a review with you, but instead of doing a review of Matthew 26 and Mark 14, I'm going to do them together because they literally repeat themselves in this. So Matthew 26 and Mark 1 through 4. So in both these chapters, we start off with the plot against Jesus. Well, no, not necessarily, because we start off with the plot against Jesus in Matthew 25, and they talk about the Passover coming up, and how it's pretty the same. It's just the titles are different. They talk about the Passover coming up. It also talks about the chief priests and the elders and the rulers of the law plotting to kill Jesus. Okay. So then we get to that. And then we get to Jesus anointed at Bethany. And while he was at Bethany, a woman comes, and that was also in Mark. She comes with an alabaster box and she breaks some expensive perfume over Jesus' head and begins to anoint him, anoint his body. The disciples give her a hard time. Tell my son, we could have spent that on, that was expensive. We could have took that money and gave to the poor. You're right. Okay. They wouldn't have did that. He sets them straight, like leave this woman alone. She did a beautiful thing for me, and y'all all wrong. So Judas agrees to betray Jesus in Matthew, but it's also mentioned in Mark as well. But he makes an agreement for 30 pieces of silver to betray Jesus with a kiss. Okay. And then we talk in both chapters about the Last Supper. Jesus already had it prepared, knew a man would be there. And we get a little more details in Mark about the servant who will lead them to the man's house. But in any case, he knew the man would be there, would have a room prepared and all ready for them to celebrate the Passover, which we know as the Lord's Supper. Okay. And that's when he announces, that he will be betrayed and it would be one of them. And they start flipping out. Is it I? Is it me? It can't be me. I don't know what you're talking about. He even talks about, Peter, you're going to deny me 3 times. And Peter didn't believe that. And I'll never do that. And his disciples said, I'll never do that. And then Jesus goes to Gethsemane to pray. Now, that one is not, I don't think that's mentioned in Mark 14, but it's definitely mentioned in Matthew 26. Okay. So he goes to Gethsemane pray, unless it's yeah. So he goes to Gethsemane to pray, and every time he came back, the disciples were asleep. He only took Peter, James, and John with him all the way up, but they kept falling asleep. Their eyes were heavy, so that shows that their humanness, we get sleepy. And they really should have been praying about the whole situation, but they were not. They were asleep. But Jesus was praying and he was very distressed. That's the human side of him. And he wanted that hour to pass by, but he said, not my will, your will, God. So he knew he had to go through this. And it was a tough time. It was a tough time for him. It wasn't a walk in the park. Okay. This was showing us that it was very tough. It was it wasn't easy. And once he came out from the prayer, he was arrested in both translations. He was arrested, and the disciples scattered once he was arrested. But before he was arrested, Judas kissed him. Hey, Rabbi, what's up? But that was the signal that whatever man he kissed, that's the one you arrest. They had came with clubs and swords and all this kind of stuff. And one of his boys, Jesus' boys, cut the ear off of the high priest. I think it was the high priest. And he was like, yeah, I'm the high priest. And he was like, no, you ain't supposed to be doing that. Okay. We ain't trying to start no riot up in this piece. We got to do it the way the scripture says it's going to be fulfilled. And they brought Jesus before the Sanhedrin in both Matthew 26 and in Mark 14. He does not say anything to defend himself other than when he's asked about being the Messiah. And in Mark, he says, I am. And he goes on, okay. And so, they thought that was blasphemy. So they decided they were going to arrest him. Now in Matthew 20. Okay, no. Okay. They thought that was blasphemy, so they wanted to arrest him. So meanwhile, Peter was sitting in the background, listening to the whole court case, okay? And the servant girl notices him, said, you're one of his friends. He's like, no, I don't know him. Then he went someplace to warm himself outside of the court. And she said, yeah, that is you. I could tell you by your accent. I don't know him. Okay. Then the people that was there with her was finally saying, wait a minute, you is the one. And he starts cursing and all this kind of stuff. I don't know the man. Okay. And then the rooster crows twice, and he remembers the word that Jesus said that he would do. And he went somewhere. Let's see, where did he go? He went somewhere and he wept bitterly. He cried profusely. I'm trying to see if I know where he actually went. I don't think so. And he went outside and wept bitterly. And in Mark, it says, um, and he broke down and wept. That was it. And I know he felt really bad because, it feels bad to find out you will do something you thought you would never do. That's why you don't ever want to say never, right? Don't think that we are above because we have Christ in our life, that we're above some of the things that other people do, and we're above certain sins and stuff. We're still in this flesh body. And as he said when he was talking to his disciples about sleeping, he said, truly the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. And he was kind of giving, Peter a heads up. You're gonna be weak in a few. You need to be praying. You need to be praying because you gonna be weak. And that's why we all need to pray, because we will have some weak moments. Some of us more weak moments than others, and we sometimes kick ourselves, but we are human. There's no excuse, okay? We're not trying to make an excuse, but we are human and we're not perfect. And that's why we need to always be in prayer. Um, yeah. So visit me on my website, which is www.tonihendersonmayers.com. Let me know what you think about this reading. What do you think about Peter, Judas? Um, wow. The disciples, a woman with the alabaster box. The man who had his room, he had his house already set up with a Passover. Okay. You think he got a word from the Lord ahead of time to do that? What do you think? Because there's more that can be extrapolated from this text that we don't even really know. But I mean, as far as not written, but we have an idea because how things played out. Well, just know that the word of God is a lamp unto our feet. It is a light unto our path. We will hide God's word in our hearts that we may not sin against God. You take care, and I will see you tomorrow, God willing. Bye. Hey there. Thank you so much for checking out my video. And I want you to check out my website at tonihendersonmayers.com. You can find out about me in film and stage. You can also find out about the wise courtship philosophy and everything that I do, speaking across the country, and the book that I've written. And of course, you can go on to my online store where you can learn a lot of information about business, get coaching sessions, online courses, and so much more. Not only that, I have an Etsy store, which the website of all of these things are in my description. So make sure you go to my Etsy shop, which is called Faith, Hope, and Love Center. Make sure you go to that so you can get t-shirts, and I'm adding things every day, t-shirts, mugs, masks, all types of things, into the link that's going to take you to all of the books that we're using pretty much in our Read Through the Bible series. So here are the journals. This reflection journal is so that you can write and take notes. And this one has a lot of study information and will help you keep organized as you're studying the Bible. This is the Bible that I read from, the NIV Study Bible. Of course, Wise Courtship is here, and some of the other books that I wrote, Yes, God is Real, and also I Rise, Stories of Triumph. It's just a great encouragement tool. So walk on over to the stores and give us some support. I think you're going to be blessed by the products. Take care.